Hi, Vince.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today
It's my pleasure.
and having us at Mandy's.
Mon plaisir.
Before we get into it, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do?
So my name is Vincenzo Cavallo. I've been in the fashion design industry for, I'd say, over 30 years. I've worked in designing clothing brands and then also designing my own retail shops. And then later on, the last few years, I've been helping my wife in that capacity to be an entrepreneur and designing the Mandy's locations and using all my experience to help her.
So before we begin, I'd like to share with you how the whole project came to be.
Okay.
The concept was actually created by our president, Olympia, during the pandemic.
Whom I love.
And last year we discussed how the pandemic affected us all. And this year, the segment is about how Quebec design is different from design in Canada or everywhere else in the world. So Vince, as I understand, you have a foot in both interior design and in the fashion world. Do you feel like there's a difference in the design world in Montreal than the rest of Canada? And if so, what are those differences?
We are super multicultural as a place, but so is Toronto. But what differs from Ontario and Quebec, that in Quebec, people tend to hold on to their cultures much longer. So when people design, they're still designing from their cultural standpoint. And of course, in general, I find we're still, because of all this, much more European as a city. So our places seem to be a little bit more, if I can use the word, décontracté. You know, they're not as cookie cutter perfect as when Toronto or Vancouver design places. Maybe also because a lot of times we have limited budget. We have less budget in Montreal, and having less budget sort of induces you to be more creative and think more outside of the box. How do I make this place have a soul? How do I make it have a vibe? And there's an authenticity about our places, no matter how small or big.
Since you're responsible for both the fashion design and the interior design at your clothing brand Mimi and Coco, can you walk us through your design process a little bit?
My shops have always had kind of the same feel. I used to be a super minimalist when I started. So I wanted to have my place look more like not a clothing store. So I did it more like art gallery, studio. So I remember my first place, I put no mannequins in the window. So it was all white and everything came out from the walls. Even the shelves were like an extension of the walls. So there were no regular shelving units and all that. I always believed more in like design should be well done for sure, beautiful materials, beautiful colors, and give you like kind of a feeling of some place you've been to or some place you remember that you loved.
Can you talk to us about some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career and how did you overcome them?
Some of the biggest challenges we've had were in when the big crash happened in the US, because we were wholesaling a lot of merchandise into the US, having knitwear made in Italy, imported and then exported to a lot of incredible shops all across the US. And so we had to deal with a serious cash flow issue at the time. And at the time also what was going on was the internet was taking off with the online, just started. So there was a lot of obstacles that were going on.
Can you share with us one of your favorite projects you've worked on and what stood out to you?
I'd say the first interesting one was the Mimi Coco shop in Westmount. That project was very special because then in the back there, we left a little backspace that Alex said to me, you just have the budget to design 800 square feet. The last 300-400 we'll block it off with a wall, a fake wall with your, with a clothing rack and everything. And when you're ready, you can open up the wall and you're gonna have a bigger shop. So when I met my wife in the shop working for me, and she wanted to go work as a waitress at the W Hotel at the time. She was a student. I said to her, no, you're gonna take the back of the shop and we'll make a lifestyle coffee shop. So lo and behold, my wife said to me, I'm gonna do that with you. I'm gonna do that, but I'm not gonna make another coffee shop. She said, I'm gonna make a salad bar. The reason why this space is special is because out of that space, Mimi Coco gave birth to Mandy's. And secondly would be this one here that we're sitting in, the Mandy's in Old Montreal, because all the pieces came from a place that I walked into on vacation outside of New York and Connecticut. And then we drove over there with a U-Haul truck and I brought my wife. I showed her incredible pieces, which we then bought. And I drove a U-Haul 6 hours to go pick up special pieces that are in here today to drive them back to Montreal to put into this shop to make it really special.
What inspires you when you're choosing brands for your fashion line or when you're scouting locations?
So scouting locations, I'll start with that, is about just finding a location that either, I'd say, the way I say it, has a good feng shui. What's in front of the location? Is it free space? Is there a park? Something that I can visualize, that I can work with, but that nobody else thinks is interesting, but I see it, you know? So and that's what I look for in terms of space. What would I like a woman to be wearing? What's feminine? Yeah, classy, feminine, casual, sophisticated, and timeless, of course. I love timeless fashions.
What advice would you give young entrepreneurs starting out their career?
For me, entrepreneurship is about doing something that comes natural to you, that's like a gift that you have, and do something around that gift. You're gonna work for so many hours, you'll work tirelessly towards your goal, but you won't feel it because you just love it so much and it comes natural to you. So that's what I would suggest, that, and be ready to work your ass off. Be ready to take some beatings along the way, but just get up and continue going if you really feel like that there's something special there. And believe in yourself and believe in what you want to do. But what's really necessary, as I come to realize, is having one or actually many of great mentors. When you have great mentors, it'll fast forward the whole thing, but they shouldn't stop you from making some of your own mistakes, but they will help you to see the power, your own power, and they will help you to understand how society at large works and how business works in general.
So the Olympia questionnaire, we have a couple of fun questions we're going to go through.
Okay.
So what's your favorite drink?
My favorite drink these days, I have to say, has been mojito. I love a good mojito.
Me too.
But the ice has to be crushed from an ice crushing machine.
What's your favorite city?
I'd have to say that I think my favorite city is probably New York City. I just love that everybody talks to each other. Whether you're in a suit and you're coming out of some big investment firm and you're sitting at some hotel bar or some coffee shop at the corner of the street, and there's some construction guy next to you, and everybody just talks to each other.
What type of stone is your favorite? Is it marble, granite, quartz?
I have to say I'm a classic Carrera marble type. Yeah.
Is there something in your morning routine that you can't give up?
I'd have to say coffee. The first thing I do is I have to have a coffee.
Okay. So Vince, we're done. I want to
it?
thank you for your time. I had a really great time. It was an honor speaking to you. Thank you so much.